Back on Get Up with one of the stunning moments in NBA or any sports history last night as the Mavericks, what a 1.8% chance to win the draft lottery, did just that. That was Rolando Blackman's longtime Maverick. His reaction, that was Cooper Flagg. He is overwhelmingly expected to be the first pick in this draft. The Mavericks had the fourth lowest odds to win the lottery since it began in 1985. They jumped 10 spots to win it. This comes 3 months after they traded Luka Doncic to the Lakers. Here was the reaction in the Dallas front office. So they're incredibly excited, and obviously everyone recognizes Nico Harrison, who is sitting there in the back. But you had a message for him this morning.
Nico, they still on your ass like Huggies, brother. They on you like pull-ups. You have to win. This is just part of it. This is the beginning. You have to win, or they're still going to run you out.
You feel good today, though.
No, he feels good
today.
It feels real good.
You feel great.
Some time.
Yes.
Because the first pick in a draft that has a player people are this excited about is an outstanding asset, and it can be used in a variety of different ways. You love business. An asset is exactly that. It's not a human being until you make it into a human being. At this moment, it's an asset. And so the question is, should the Mavericks draft Cooper Flagg, or should the Mavericks consider trading that asset for someone like, I don't know, Giannis Antetokounmpo?
The latter. I mean, for me, you take a swing at it considering this is your window of time to win a championship. And as we talk about asset screening, you're only worth as much as the market wants to pay for you. And the market is going to pay for Cooper Flagg along with some other assets. If you can get a guy like Giannis, you do it.
Half of your payroll in 3 players. You'll still have to move players to make the money work. So you're going to gut your roster to now add a player. Who did that? Oh, that's right, the Phoenix Suns. How'd that work out? Anthony Davis is a great player when he's on the court. Kyrie Irving is not going to play all of next year. You were gifted a generational talent.
Why do we keep saying Kyrie Irving's not going to play all next year? I know he's come back off the ACL.
Because he tore his knee.
He tore his ACL, but I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion that he's out the entire season.
No. But he isn't going to play the whole season.
You're going to miss it. I mean, what is it?
He's going to miss some time. Yeah, you can come back and ramp it up.
Okay, well, still, like, to me, this, I don't know why you need to put some urgency in this. Like, don't overthink it. Like, keep it simple. You were gifted a generational talent in this draft that would actually fit really well with the pieces you already have. This is a guy who's a wing player, a two-way player. He's 18. He won't be 19 until after Christmas. Think about this. He's coming into the league extremely young. He will fit in not as somebody that has to be a main piece and needs the ball all the time, but somebody that can actually acclimate while you still have your main pieces and stars and don't have to blow up your roster. And oh, by the way, when we talk about quarterbacks in the NFL and how you get the young one, the rookie quarterbacks and they're on the rookie contracts, same situation here. You're not blowing up your cap. You can have depth. You can truly build a championship team this way. You could try to roll the dice and make a trade for a guy like Giannis, who's 12 years older, and hope you get it done in the next 2 to 3 years. But keep in mind, he's got an opt-out in 2 years. You're going to have to give him an extension, too. There's a lot of money that you would be investing in 3 players rather than building out a roster with depth and also a generational talent that'll be there for the next 10 to 15 years.
What do you think,
Now say I'm Alan Hahn and I approve this message.
I do.
What do you think?
So when you say he's a generational talent, the guy that you would be bringing in is what?
Talent. What the
hell is Giannis?
He is too, but he's 30.
And basketball players reach their peak at 28. Alan, I know you didn't play, but we reached our peak at 28. So he's right around his peak right now. He's exactly where he needs to be a great player right now. So he can continue to lead, and he's also led a small market team without stars around.
What about the rest of the roster you did? What I'm talking about is how much you'd have to tear up your roster to match the money. Think about that. And then also you have to give him an extension. That's a lot to commit to make your roster gets smaller, your depth gets smaller, your need for all these players to be available to you all the time. gets more intense.
Now, as great as
UD, just for clarity, I never reached my peak.
Oh,
yeah,
I never got there. But
let's go ahead. As great as Cooper Flagg
I still feel like I'm peaking.
as great as Cooper Flagg is, he's walking into a Lions den. You think Najee Marshall is just going to hand over his spot and he just got paid? Caleb Martin just came there and got traded. You think he's handing over his wing spot, Max Christie? He is walking into the Lions den, and those old vets are sitting here saying, okay, everybody's saying Cooper Flagg's going to come in here and take our spot. They go kick his ass 7 days a week and twice on Sunday if they get a chance.
But if he's the good,
so he might need to, like Jay Will said, a situation where he goes, he can develop. But if he's sitting behind these guys, it's going to be tough.
Jay, you are our college basketball expert, and you are a Duke guy. How good is he? 3 years from now, how good is Cooper Flagg?
I think Cooper, I wouldn't say 3 years. I think in 5 years he could be an all-star. I think potentially trend towards an all-star. Look, I don't know if he's great at one thing. I think he's really exceptional at a variety of things. He's a stat filler, right? He would be a great role player on this team. The only thing I'm worried about, though, is if you condition his brain to be a role player, can he bust out of that rather than conditioning him and his skill set to turn into a star to see if he can reach his peak? And that comes with a different environment than Dallas.
And that's what I'm saying. They have 4 guys already that does what he does right now. They have 4 guys that are two-way players, that are effort energy guys, that are Swiss Army knives. They have 4 guys that do that already. Not saying he won't be something different in 4 or 5 years, but if you bring him right now, he's just jumping into the Lions den with those guys. And I'm telling you, those guys are dogs.
Manager that traded Luka Doncic and Cooper Flagg in the same.
But if you can get Giannis,
I got to stop worrying about what other people think of me. I threw that.
If you can get
Giannis, the
Giannis,
future of my franchise.
If you had traded Luka Doncic for Giannis,
yes,
the reaction would have been different, right? Like, here's the only thing I'll say. I hear every word you're saying, and it all makes sense. The question is, how much longer does Giannis have to be what he is now? Because if the answer is another 5 or 6 years, then you do it. Giannis is a top 3 player in the league, and even that might be selling him
Giannis
short.
on this thing. Again, for me, it is more about the opportunity that came your way, it fell in your lap, and sometimes you don't want to overthink it. Sometimes you want to, again, I go back to the Detroit Pistons passing on Carmelo Anthony because they were overthinking where they were as a roster and how he wouldn't fit, and a young guy coming in wouldn't make sense because he's not ready to play right away and we're trying to win a championship, and had that work out. Like, to me, sometimes when you get a generational talent of somebody of this caliber in a draft like this, sometimes you just say, give me the player, I'll develop him, I still have a chance to win, and maybe the timing will work out in the next 2 to 3 years where you can win a title.
All right, here we go. So the trivia question's a great one. The Knicks are a win away from the conference finals. They haven't been there since 2000. There are only 2 franchises that have a longer active drought. Let me say one thing quickly, because Hembo and I love it, that people like to play along with this at home. The New Orleans Pelicans have never made it to the conference finals, but they've only been a team since 2002. So that isn't as long a drought as the Knicks, so that's why they're not the answer. But my point is, there are going to be people saying, oh, they've never made it. Their drought is not as long as the Knicks, so that's why they're not the answer.
All I'm going to say for our team is, coming off the draft lottery, the teams that should have had the first pick and the second pick, Washington and Charlotte, right?
Yes.
Should have.
Do we think
saying that's our answer?
Oh, I'm locking in Wizards for sure.
Wizards for sure. I mean, Charlotte has to be the other.
See, that's the Pelicans thing, because didn't Charlotte move to New Orleans?
They're forgetting moved.
And then they moved the history back to the Bobcats and blah, blah, blah.
The franchise dates back
So,
that far.
I mean, it's Charlotte and it's Washington.
It's Charlotte and it's Washington.
Yes!
That is correct.
That's right. 2 days in a row, Hembo.
Man, there's an asterisk on that. There really is.
The Wizards, who were then the Washington Bullets, were last in the conference finals 46 years ago. Wow. The Hornets have never been there, and that's 35 years. So it is longer than the Knicks drought. That's why the Pelicans was not. Congratulations, well played. You mentioned the draft lottery last night. That was the stunner. The Mavericks moving all the way up and moving past the Luka trade in resounding fashion, winning the lottery and the right to draft Cooper Flagg. They had a 1.8% chance to jump up 10 spots and grab that pick, which they did. So we asked Brian Windhorst to let us know, what does all of last night's results mean for the future of Giannis Antetokounmpo?
As NBA fans were reacting to the crazy turn of events that had the Dallas Mavericks winning the draft lottery, league executives started to ask the question, would the Mavericks actually trade Luka Doncic and the rights to Cooper Flagg in the same year? That's the kind of questions that are going to go around the league as Giannis Antetokounmpo tries to figure out his future. In the fallout of the lottery, you had several top teams improve their assets, especially the Mavericks, and keep an eye on the San Antonio Spurs. getting the number 2 pick in the draft, coming off getting the top 3 or 4 picks over the last couple of years, leaves them in position to make a strong offer. But the first move is going to be Giannis, and we're going to keep an eye on that over the coming weeks.
All right, so it's so well summed up, and we've spent all morning long here, a lot of the morning, debating back and forth, should Dallas be willing to trade Cooper Flagg if it would get them back Giannis, and that debate will continue to rage. There's one other thing that I think needs to be said in the wake of last night. Can we put up B14? The Utah Jazz got the 5th pick last night. That means that the team with the worst record has now not selected first overall in 7 straight seasons, coinciding with the start of the new lottery format. So when Adam Silver changed around, tweaked a few things there, he did it, and he came on the show and talked about it because he recognizes, as should every sports fan, tanking is a scourge. Tanking is a disgrace. Tanking runs contrary to literally everything sports is designed to be. Incentivizing losing is the worst mistake any sport can possibly make, any sports league can make. And as a result, I think it is great news. People saying, oh, this isn't working because the worst teams aren't getting the pick. Shut up. That's exactly the wrong way to look at it. This way, win games. Go out there and win games and see what happens. And you know what should happen? The NFL should add this?
Yes.
Yes.
Every sport should add this.
Yes.
The lottery is a brilliant idea, and I would completely favor, I know Shefty was on talking about it on the radio this morning. I would absolutely be in favor of the NFL going to some sort of draft lottery so you stop with the tanking, which is the worst thing in sports.
You add the play-in, which now 2/3 of the league stays active trying to make a playoff or postseason type bid, so you have more incentive to try to keep playing to win. And you also have to look at it this way, too. The odds aren't really in your favor, even though they are, clearly, right? Would you see that the bottom 3 teams each get the same percentage? I believe it's 14%, and yet nobody's winning them right now, 7 years in a row. And what it also should do is tell a franchise not to pull the plug on a whole season. That's the worst part, when you have certain franchises that make a mega trade, move away from a star player that they don't want to pay, and then they go, we'll just take some picks and we'll sit here and we'll be bad for a couple of years. That's not good for the league. That's not good for your franchise. Everybody points to the Sixers in the process. How's that working out?
Yeah. Or even last night.
Now, Oklahoma City is obviously the one side of it you look at. Collect picks and get young players and then build it into something. That did take some time. They've done it twice. But more often than not, it has been a failure, and it is not something that teams should decide to do, nor owners should ever want to do. Stay competitive, take it all the way to the end, and show your fan base that you're in it to win it.
But see, I'm with you on that. But also for OKC, Sam Presti has had the luxury of having 17 years. So him and ownership have been on the same page about what they've been trying to achieve.
Look, you were nodding along. I could see out of the corner of my eye when I was saying the thing about tanking. You hate it.
How you do some things is how you do everything. If you prioritize losing, you're a loser.
Nice.
That's just as simple as that. If you prioritize losing, you're a loser. I mean, everybody talks about the number 1 pick. How about if the Heat would have tanked this year, we could have got that number 1 pick. And people at home don't know that. We do not prioritize that. You should never prioritize that. And there's a karma to that.
I'm so glad you said that. That is so well put. And I will say this. I just did the NFL draft, as I do every year. It's my favorite assignment of my year. The number of people who said to me coming out of Green Bay, well, we'll just suck this year and get Arch Manning. Well, we'll just be terrible this year and get Arch Manning. Shut up. Win games, for crying out loud. There's only one Arch Manning, A. B, who knows how good he's going to be? C, the Mannings stay in college. They're legendary for that. Arch Manning isn't going to be in next year's draft. You have no idea how good next year is going to be. Win games. Teams should never benefit a team to lose any game that is being played at any point on the schedule in any sport.
Think about also the mentality of a fan base that looks back to a win at the end of a season and saying, oh, we shouldn't have won that game.
Right.
NBA